we need to talk about the most dangerous hazard in your workplace. It's not your lack of policies and procedures, and it's not even your personal protective equipment. It's your attitude. Specifically, it's a lack of kindness. Now, before you roll your eyes, I'm not talking about being nice. I'm talking about risk control. I'm Carrie Bjola, and you have joined in on the second episode of Before It Breaks. These podcasts aren't about catching people doing something wrong. They're about creating the conditions that prevent things from going wrong in the first place. For 30 years, I've been the person called into the room after the worst scenario happens. I've been a nurse on the front lines, a public administrator and policymaker, and now the CEO of Service Hospitality. But I'm not here to read you a slide deck. I'm here because I'm a mother who lost her son to workplace tragedy. I don't just talk about safety, I live in the wake of its failure. In this episode of Before It Breaks, we're stripping away the corporate fluff. We're talking about kindness. Not the kumbaya kind. The kind that keeps your workers' brains from shutting down. The kind that acts as a physical risk control. Now, if you're thinking that kindness is a soft skill, you're wrong. It's a survival skill. And if you aren't using it, you're just waiting for something to break. Don't just take it from me. Take it from Saskatchewan's provincial regulator.
When we look at the data, many leaders still think that kindness belongs in labor relations, not safety. But the regulatory landscape is shifting. If you look here in Saskatchewan, we recently amended the Saskatchewan Employment Act to expand the definition of workers for both violence and harassment. With standards like the national standard CSA Z1003 and an increasing focus on psychosocial hazards, what you're seeing is that there is more of a regulatory focus on the health, safety, and well-being of workers. And this is going to continue in the regulatory framework for the years to come.
Like he said, this is becoming a requirement because the science is clear. When you look for hazards, you can't see psychological safety, but you can see how the brain responds to threat. Research shows that when we feel safe and supported, our minds open up. We see more, learn more, notice more. But when we face incivility or rudeness, our attention narrows. We fixate on the threat, the screaming boss, or the condescending coworker, and we lose sight of the actual hazards, like a hot stove or paring knives. This is known as tunnel vision. Your worker isn't being careless. Their brain is busy surviving. Here's the science. When you belittle a worker, you're literally stealing their brain power. Research shows that a verbal hit to the ego reacts in the brain like a mild concussion. You're shrinking their memory. You are making them 20% more likely to miss the next hazard lurking around the corner. Think about that. 1 out of every 5 hazards, the wet floor, the frayed wire, the aggressive customer, the moving forklift, are now invisible to your worker because you snapped at them. You didn't just hurt their feelings, you blinded them. That 20% blind spot, that's where life-altering tragedies happen. I know because I've lived in the after of that blind spot. This isn't theoretical for me, it's a matter of life and death. In safety terms, incivility is like a chemical spill. It triggers a flood of cortisol. You know that stress hormone. We've all heard about it. Cortisol is a system hijacker. It shuts down the part of your brain responsible for making smart, calm decisions and forces you into survival mode. When your crew is in survival mode, they aren't looking for a hazard. They're looking for a fight. Think about a supervisor reprimanding a worker for a minor error first thing in the morning. They've just released a cloud of cortisol and adrenaline. That worker's radar is now diminished, possibly for the rest of the day. So is the radar of everyone else who just witnessed it. If your workplace is high friction, workers will hide mistakes that eventually become a crisis event. Think of it as your vehicle's RPMs. You need a little pressure to get the job done. But if you redline it, the engine will blow. Kindness is your coolant. It's the regulator that keeps your team in the peak performance zone, so they don't hit the breakdown zone. That's where incidents happen. There is a sweet spot for performance. Too much pressure created by an unkind, high-stress environment, and performance falls off a cliff. Look at the work of Dr. Amy Edmondson. She spent years studying why some teams succeed while others fail. She discovered something called social safety. For the skeptics who think this is starting to feel a little touchy-feely, the law is already ahead of you. It's actually stated in the regulated definition of occupational health and safety. The social well-being of workers is a legal responsibility for you to ensure. Managing the headspace of your team is a part of your legal due diligence. You can lead with kindness now, or you can explain your workplace culture to a judge later. Your choice. Whether you're in a group home or a busy hotel, social safety means workers can speak up without getting their head bitten off. Edmondson's research showed that the safest teams aren't the ones that make the fewest mistakes. They're the ones where people feel safe enough to report them. When you lead with kindness, you build that safety. You're making it okay for your team to say, "Hey, I messed up the log sheet," or "I'm a little overwhelmed with this situation and I could use a little extra help," before that small error turns into the big event on the evening news. Here's the bottom line. Kindness protects your bottom line from 3 directions, all at once. Science proves if they don't feel safe, they won't tell you the truth. Regulations-wise, the law is catching up to your workplace culture. And human-wise, curiosity between you and the team keeps the radar open. Anger shuts that down. Pick one, because ignoring all 3 is how people get hurt. I recently finished the Book of Joy. It's a conversation between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. These 2 men endured exile and violence, and through all of that, they have shown us how to practice a discipline of kindness. When something goes wrong, you have a split second to choose: frustration or curiosity. Frustration closes your eyes. Curiosity opens the system. One leads to a write-up, and the other leads to a solution. Experts like Eric Hollernagel have flipped the script on how you show up. For decades, we've been stuck in safety 1, which is basically just find someone to blame. It's reactive, it's irritable, and it's a lie. Real safety, safety 2, is about resilience. It's moving from "why did you screw up?" to "how can we fix the system so you can't screw up anymore?" Stop being a judge and start being an architect of social safety. Systems are complex. You can't write a procedure for every single thing that happens in a group home at 2 a.m. You have to rely on your workers' ability to adapt. Kindness is the social safety that supports adaptation to happen. In a high-friction environment, the worker won't adapt. They'll fight, flight, or freeze. Ever seen that in your workplace? Imagine it's Friday night, the dining room is packed, the kitchen is screaming, and a server, let's call her Sarah, just dropped a tray of expensive glassware. If you're a safety 1 manager, you're already annoyed. You stomp over, you roll your eyes, and you snap, "Sarah, what are you doing? That's coming out of your tips." Congratulations, you just made your restaurant less safe. You didn't just discipline her, you flooded her brain with cortisol. Now Sarah isn't focused on the hot soup or the slippery floor. She's in survival mode. Her working memory just took a 20% hit. She's statistically more likely to trip, burn a customer, or walk into the swinging door because you hijacked her brain. A safety 2 leader? They lead with curiosity. They ask, "Are you okay? And what happened there?" And then you begin to wonder, maybe the floor was waxed with the wrong solution, maybe the door hinge is sticking again. If you lead with irritation, you will get an apology. But if you lead with curiosity, you'll get the truth. What you need to stop the next tray from falling. You don't have to be a monk or an archbishop to do this. You just have to be a leader who values a clear-headed team over a scared or angry one. By treating your team with dignity instead of irritation, you stop being a judge of past mistakes and start being an architect of future resilience. Let's listen to what happens on the floor when a leader chooses kindness over friction.
In the end, right, we try to cultivate an environment where people can be open and upfront or bring issues right to the table. Right. We know everybody by name. We've had the same staff here for over a decade, or maintained at least 90% of that staffing level. So we've created an environment where it's an ease. There's no real leadership there's leadership on the floor and there's people guiding them. But we treat each other equally. We all want to come to work in one shape and we want to leave in the same shape, if not better. So that's really our philosophy on the floor is open, honest adult communication. If there's an issue, we address it. And people aren't uncomfortable to bring the issue forward to us. So, and really that's just really it. Right. I mean, all those gals, I know their names. Their husbands work here, their children work here. Right. So, I mean, we just have that environment where it's open and honest and we care about each other. Right. So.
And what do you think that's done as it relates to reducing the risk of injury on your floor?
Well, I think people are comfortable. They know that we care. So it's when they bring it to us, we're not rolling our eyes. Oh, just another issue that you're bringing forward. And then they see the result when they bring that issue forward, they see maintenance brought over. They see another supervisor brought over and the issue addressed kind of on time, and they're brought in. So they're empowered that they're part of the resolution. So and that they can actually give their 2 bits and that they see the result of them bringing something forward.
And that's how to operationalize kindness. Simply make it a way of going about your daily business. Now, I'm challenging you. Tomorrow, when you walk into work, I want you to do 3 things. Regulate before you respond. Your temper is a safety hazard. If you can't control your tone, you can't control your workplace. Check in versus check up. A checkup is for your car. It's an inspection. A check-in is for a human. You listen without trying to fix. And protect the messenger. If someone brings you bad news, thank them. If you shoot the messenger, you kill the information flow that keeps the team alive. Kindness is not about lowering your standards. It's about delivering accountability without humiliation. You can't be a tough manager and a kind manager at the same time. For the leaders listening who would like to see the black and the white of performance, I've created a tool for you. It's called the Kindness Audit. You can find the link to the Kindness Audit on the Service Hospitality resource page, along with several other helpful resources on this topic. Or you can find it below if you're watching on YouTube. Stop what you're doing right now and go to the link. Download the Kindness Audit. It's 1 page. If you can't spare 5 minutes to check your own leadership RPMs, then you aren't managing risk. You are waiting for a crisis to happen. As a mother who has lived the outcome of workplace harm, I can tell you this. Prevention is relational. Incidents rarely begin with broken equipment or processes. They begin with broken conversations. Long before incidents, there are moments where somebody tests the water. The response they receive determines what happens next. Archbishop Tutu spoke of Ubuntu. I am because we are. In safety, we are interdependent. If I'm unkind to you, I'm the weak link in the chain that holds us together. If I'm kind, I strengthen the social glue that allows us to catch each other's mistakes before they become tragedies. Maya Angelou said, "People will never forget how you made them feel." In safety leadership, how you make people feel determines what they do for you and each other. Kindness is not a personality trait, it's a working condition. It allows us to catch each other's mistakes before they become tragedies. Kindness in the workplace is not a luxury. It's a necessity for human survival and for making sure everyone goes home whole. Kindness isn't a soft skill, it's a leadership discipline. It's the loudest, most powerful risk control you have. Because at the end of the day, people won't remember your policies and procedures. They'll remember if you made them feel safe enough to do their jobs. Use it before something breaks. I'm Carrie Bjola. I'll see you next month for episode 3.